Hi, this is Lisa Rangel from Chameleon Resumes, the premier executive resume writing company, and thank you so much for joining me today. Today we're going to talk about 3 job search mindset killers that you want to avoid at all costs. Now, I'm a firm believer in job search success being rooted in having the right mindset. Now, the key with the right mindset, I mean, that's easier said than done, right? And more importantly, you may have it one day and not have it the next day. So it's important to be aware of some of this insidious thinking that happens that kills our positive mindset in executing a job search. So I want to make you aware of at least 3 of them that I see people do to themselves. And it can come across sometimes as justifiable anger, or it can come across as, information that you're only seeing in a one-sided capacity. And so it's important to be aware of these behaviors, because if you are aware of them, you can identify them, you can confront them, and you can change them, even if it's for a few hours, because in those few hours you can be productive with your job search. So it's important to have these tools and this self-awareness so you can manage it and make sure that you're getting the results you want from your job search. So let me dive into the first one. The first job search mindset killer that I want you to avoid at all costs is playing down your accomplishments. Now, this often happens in one of 2 places. It happens when someone's writing their resume, or it happens when they're on an interview. And I want you to be aware of possibly you doing this, because it's a job search killer. So it's with doing your resume, it can be thoughts like, well, I didn't really do that, or we did that as a team. Well, you can rephrase it as a team, but don't not put it in that you did that, that you contributed to that initiative or that achievement. Another example is, we see this phenomenon with people all the time. We send them back the first draft of their resume, and they'll tell us like it's too big, or it's too much, or it's selling too much. And then we go through it line by line, and we're like, okay, did you increase the sales of blah 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 by X? And they're like, yes. I was like, so how do you want me to change that? You did that. So it's about owning what you did, and realizing it's a good thing, and feeling okay with not bragging about it, but simply stating the fact of that achievement that you accomplished. So, you don't want to downplay your achievements, because it can have residual effects and beyond just, not selling yourself, but now people think that you really didn't do all that, or they think that you're not confident in your job. And so it can have, when you're being compared with other candidates, the confidence can sometimes supersede the achievement. So you want to make sure you have both the confidence and the achievement by not downplaying your achievement on your resume. And on an interview, I kind of touched on it, when talking about the resume part, on an interview, when you're feeling like you're bragging, when in actuality you're stating a fact, that can come across in your body language, and you're not then matter-of-factly selling yourself. So selling yourself is based in facts. It's based in the accomplishments that you did. And bragging and all the superlatives, that can make you feel shaky, because you may not have the proof behind it. So you don't want to use superlatives. You don't want to use flowery language in describing your performance on an interview or in a resume. You want to make sure you're sticking to the facts in both of these areas, and it will help you be strong and convinced in conveying your achievements to either on paper or in person or over video, and not downplay your achievements. So that's job search mindset killer number 1 that I want you to be aware of. The second job search mind killer that I want you to be aware of is that you resent that you have to look for a job. Now, I know that's painful. That can be a massive source of pain for many of us. And I've been there. I've had to look for a job when I didn't want to before. And, but I want you to know that it is human. None of us are guaranteed to be in a job for 30 years from the day we start college or left college, till we retire 40 years later, not even 30, 40 years later. So, no one is guaranteed to have that. And it is, in fact, studies show that people may have 5, 6, 7 different employers, or even varied careers over that 40-year period before they retire. So if you've been in a job for 15 years and you now find yourself looking, even though you were happy and it's against your will, so to speak, you'd rather be working at the company you were at for 15 years, you need to sort of work on reframing that, because consider yourself blessed. You didn't have to look for a job for 15 years. Based on, again, those studies that I mentioned where people are changing jobs or careers every 4, 5, 6 years. You didn't have to do it for 15. So you may now find yourself amongst the humans and having to look for a job, right? And don't get me wrong, it sucks. And it's not pleasant. Obviously, even in the times that we're in now, it's even more not pleasant. But you're human. So let's own it and let's put the plan together. You've been in work situations, you've been in leadership situations where it didn't go your way and you came up with a plan, SWOT analysis, action plan, all these different types of plans you're capable of doing, and you can do it for yourself and your job search. So this way you don't have this mindset killer squash your job search efforts. So let's make sure we are aware of that. Let's kind of deal with the resentment and put it aside and put a plan in place, because you will get another job, promise, 100%. And the third mindset killer, job search mindset killer, is when you talk to yourself so negatively in such a way that you would never talk to a loved one that way. That, it goes beyond being self-aware and self-critical and in self-improvement. It's like when you start talking to yourself in such a negative way that I know and you would never talk to a human being like that, but yet you're talking to yourself like that. So, I would be really conscious of the self-talk you give yourself. And give yourself a gut check now and again, and say, would I say that to my best girlfriend? Would I say that to my best dude? Would I say that to my coworker, who's my work wife or my work husband? Or, would I say that to my kids, my adult kids that are in a workforce? Would I say this to anyone else in this way? And I'm going to guess in many cases, hopefully in all cases, because you're a nice person, the answer would probably be no, I wouldn't talk to anyone else this way. So I'm going to ask you then to give yourself the compassion and don't talk to yourself that way. And I'm not saying it needs to then flip to the Pollyanna-ish, positive platitudes that can even be toxic in its own in its angle of positivity, because it's ignoring how you feel. I'm not saying to ignore how you feel. I'm just saying talk to yourself like you would talk to someone you love, because you should. You should love yourself. So these are 3 job landing mindset killers that I see people do every day, every hour of every day. And I want you to be aware of them, so this way you can move forward, move past them. You will have them and you will deal with them, and they'll come back up maybe the next day or in 2 weeks. So it's human. So let yourself have it happen, but then now have a tool to be self-aware and address it so you can fix it, reverse it, and go forth executing your job search so you can get results. So if you would like more of these tips to have a positive job landing mindset that leads you to action, I'm going to ask you to pick up a copy of my ebook, The Job Landing Mindset. It's down below. You'll see it through the link there, and I'm hoping it will help you kick off this new year with passion, with vigor, and a strong belief in yourself, because you have great skills, you have awesome achievements that you need to share with the world, and there's going to be a place for you that is going to benefit from the skills you have. So just keep believing, keep moving forward. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me at lr@chameleonresumes.com. I read and reply to every email. You can also put a comment below. And again, in that description is the link to get the Job Landing Mindset ebook. And I'll be really excited to hear what you think. So have a happy new year. Have a safe and happy holiday. And I thank you so much for watching me this year. And I'm looking forward to the next. Take good care.